Welcome back. We have returned. This is the IRS Radio Hour on AM560 The Answer. I'm joined with Deborah Schreiner and Jim Leahy, I think his name is.
Yeah, that's right.
And we are the IRS Radio Hour. Did I already say that?
On AM560 The Answer. And you
that.
are...
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy.
And you are with Opem Tax Resolution.
Okay, you're feeding me
we're
lines.
Just trying to have a fun time on this Mother's Day.
Oh, it is Mother's Day. I keep forgetting. Okay, let's do it.
It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
Okay, welcome back. Okay, so it is Mother's Day. So, on this blog segment, I always like to talk about things that's happened in my office this last week. And I mention this a lot, that things kind of snowball. Or
the sink.
Or the same thing.
I like putting my mugs in the sink sometimes.
The same thing comes up over and over again. And this week, it was really about the Illinois Department of Revenue.
What was about?
IDOR. Most people, when
What about IDOR?
Most people, when you owe the IRS money, probably going to owe the state of Illinois too. So as I talk a lot on this show, that a lot of my clients have unfiled tax returns. So they haven't filed for some time. And I even have people who are what they call W-2 employees, right? So they're getting the taxes are being taken out of their check. And so they think, well, I'll just let the government keep my refund, and it doesn't really matter. I think that's silly to let the government keep your refund. I think you should always file your tax returns. But what's happening, sometimes you owe, right? But what happens is most times when people have unfiled tax returns, they don't have all of the W-2s and all of the documents that they need to file their tax returns. So we have to go to the IRS to get the tax information so we can fill out the tax return. But the IRS does not keep state-specific information. So any money they've taken out of your check for your Illinois taxes is not. The IRS doesn't save that, so they don't have that information. So when we go to do your state tax return, we don't know how much you gave to the IRS. To the Illinois Department of Revenue from these withdrawals from your check. And if you go to the Illinois Department of Revenue to try to find them, they don't have it either. They won't give it to you either. And so
that seems like a big issue. No
kidding. It's a big issue because what happens is now you can't prove that you've paid them any money. So you know what they want you to do, Jim?
Pay more.
Pay it again. Because you don't have any proof you've ever paid it. So now they say, let's say I do the tax return from 2 years ago. I owe the IRS some money, and then I owe the state of Illinois. I owe them $1,800, but they've taken it out of my check. Can you prove it? Well, no, I don't have the W-2 and I don't have any proof of it. Well, then, sorry, you'll have to pay it again. You'll have to pay that $1,800. Don't you have a record? Oh, we can't find it. We don't know where it is.
Oh, well, we don't need to keep
That's records. Ridiculous.
That's your job.
Isn't that ridiculous that they don't even keep the record? You can't find it. And then what happens? They want you to pay it again. It's kind of like that we talked on the show before about gambling winnings. So I had a client. He was a big gambler, and he won $150,000 in 1 year. But he also lost $200,000 in that same year.
But he didn't tell people that.
No, because it was always winning.
Well, I won a lot.
But here's the thing with the federal government, right? You can deduct your losses as much as you won, so it has no effect on your tax return as long as you deduct it. So I won this much, and I bet this much. I lost it, so I can't take more losses than I won. I can only offset the winnings. But in Illinois, they don't. It's the way they calculate. They look at your adjusted gross income on your tax return. It's done after it's offline. It's called on in a different schedule. You take it off your federal taxes. But Illinois, they just look at your adjusted gross income, and your adjusted gross income includes that money that you won, and then you pay tax on that money that you won. So even though you didn't win it, you still pay tax on it in Illinois, and that's the way it works. And that's
for gambling
winnings. And so that's another weird thing with the Illinois Department of Revenue. A lot of times I won't take a case for the Illinois Department of Revenue because they're so difficult to deal with. With the IRS, when you deal with the IRS, they have rules and regulations, and they're spelled out. You can go look them up, and you can say, well, according to this rule, you're supposed to do it this way. And they have everything spelled out. Illinois Department of Revenue, not so much. It's kind of more of a hit or miss. They do things what they want. I've gotten for instance, I did have a client. One of my first tax cases, matter of fact, was an older gentleman who owed the Illinois Department of Revenue a lot of money. We did an offer and compromise for him, and they settled for something like, it was very little money, $100 or $200, and he owed a lot. And they settled, so they did an offer and compromise for him. But they don't. So they do have these programs, but they don't utilize them very well. I don't like that word. They don't use. They don't use
utilize.
Them. I don't like the word because if you're going to say utilize, say use. So they don't use it very much. It's not available to many people, and they don't. There's no like spelled out program where you can go out and fill out the sheet and go out and do it. And a lot of times
that's what people are having a problem with is they go to Turbo or they use other forms to fill out their taxes.
That's
and
right.
They go, oh, I filled it out. Goes, no. You didn't. You still have to send in the money. You still have to.
Exactly.
And people don't realize that.
Exactly. But again, now what happens with the Illinois Department of Revenue is they send it to a private collector. Very quickly, they'll take your whatever you owe them, and they'll send it to the private collector. And that private firm it's a law firm, and once they get it, they want 33% up front. They're gonna add 33% to the bill because the Illinois Department of Revenue wants everything you owe them. They want it all, and then this company wants 33% for doing.
But I gave you my house and my car,
and they will take your house. And
what
your
else you got?
So here's another thing.
Shoes. Give me shoes.
Now we talked a lot about the IRS that they can come after your wages, they can go after your bank account, they can go after your possessions. Well, the Illinois Department of Revenue can do all that, and now the department. The IRS goes after your passport. Well, they get this from, that's why I call it the Chicagoization of the federal government under Obama. Because what happened is, here in Illinois, if you owe the Illinois Department of Revenue, and they will take all your licenses away. Mm-hmm. So if you have a real estate license, trying to make a living. Oh, no, you owe us money, you don't have a real estate license. Oh, you're a lawyer, you don't get a lawyer's license.
Yeah, no way.
And almost, how many occupations now you need a license? Almost all of them. There's very few now.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, it's just a taxing authority. It's just, oh, no. You want to be a hairdresser? You got to have a license. I can't think of something that's not.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Everything's licensed. I had to get a license to wait tables. Like, you need a waiter.
Serve liquor.
You need a liquor license, and you need your Bassett certification because you need to know that you know what you're talking about with beer because you just can't learn it on your own.
If you owe the Illinois Department of Revenue money, they won't let you serve because they'll take your license away from you. Oh yeah,
it's funny because there's a reason why I always made the argument before I went back to school. I always said, well, there's a reason why I'm waiting tables. I can't take tests.
No, this guy take a test.
What's wrong with you?
But anyway, this is what the difference is between the Illinois Department of Revenue and the IRS. The IRS is the most feared agency in the federal government, and they don't hold its candle to the Illinois Department of Revenue. They are terrible. My own opinion. Now, I know people over there, nice people, hardworking people, but the program, the way they do things, what they're after, they need the money. They want it tomorrow. They wanted it yesterday, and they use everything that the IRS has plus. They use it all, and they come after you, and they want you to pay.
They use Rocco in the back alley.
Now, the good part is, and here's another thing, IRS has a statute of limitations of 10 years. Well, the statute of limitations for the Illinois Department of Revenue, 20 years.
Really?
Yes. So they come after you for 20 years. Oh, that was like a long time ago.
We've never talked about that. Imagine that, ladies and gentlemen, and we're talking just in Illinois, because we're trying to branch out because, again, we do the live YouTube feed so other people can pick up, but people who are listening this Sunday evening, that's going to be an issue. If you owe the IRS money, Attorney Stephen Leahy's correct. You're going to end up possibly and probably owing Illinois money. So listen.
Or whatever state you're in. Now, most states, not every state has a state tax, but most do.
But here's the thing, what I'm trying to say. If you have a problem, get it solved, and call attorney Stephen Leahy with Opem Tax Resolution, 312-664-6649, or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's kind of scary stuff. Hopefully you took notes, got that phone number down, 312-664-6649, and you're going to come right back after the commercial break, because when you do, we're going to be talking about the Trump's tearing up the Iran deal. So we got great stuff coming your way here on AM560 The Answer.